If you're somebody that's been watching this Indiana Fever team ever since the very first game of the season against Connecticut, and you saw just, the things that they had to work on, Caitlin was looking real frail out there. The team wasn't catching passes. They looked at a source. They just looked terrible. I can probably speak for you, and I can say you have fallen in love with this team over the course of the almost 30 games they have played, because they have just grown so much, all around. Caitlin's always going to be the center of attention when it comes to this team and, just like their overall, what they do on the floor. But what Kelsey Mitchell is able to do on the floor, and Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull, and, even the other players like Nalissa Smith and Damaris Dantas, like, this team is just like, I would say they're like America's sweetheart right now. They're America's team more than the Dallas Cowboys right now. And after tonight's game against Connecticut, I can say with all confidence and bass in my voice, this team will upset somebody in the WNBA playoffs. Guaranteed.
Whalen to trigger in. Gets it to Moore. Moore will get it off. The shot is good. Game 3 belongs to Maya Moore and Minnesota.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JP, Joe Paul, back him up. But everybody's having a great day. All that good stuff, man. Make sure you guys do me a favor. Leave a like, leave a comment. Actually, listen, speaking of leaving a comment, do me a favor, man. I want to just kind of like take a gauge of things here. If you're somebody that has, you only really started watching WNBA for Caitlin Clark, you were going to follow whatever team that she got drafted on, be honest with me. You absolutely are falling in love with this Indiana Fever team, man. Overall, they're just a team that you can just get behind, you can support, They support Caitlin very, very well. They know that she has a lot of pressure and all that, and they've also handled the pressure very well themselves. They weren't playing in these great, sellout crowds just a year ago, and here they are now, center of attention. They're going to get everybody's best game every single night, and they come out there and they perform game after game after game. Before I get too deep into the game, I just want to have a little PSA here. I think we need to chill on Angel Reese and her missed layups just a little bit, man. Just a little bit. Only because missed layups in the WNBA are so rampant that, like, I don't even think it's fair to just say that Angel Reese is, a bum or not good or anything else that people are saying online just because she's missing some layups. Because I've seen some terrible. Watch Timmy Fagbenle in the last game for the Fever, in the last game against Atlanta. She had 2 point-blank opportunities. Not a defender, not 5 feet, away from her. And she came out and she absolutely smoked the layup, hit the backboard. It was nowhere close. And you're just like, oh my God, Timmy. In today's game, Aaliyah Boston got a beautiful pass off a Caitlin Clark dime. She made a great move to free herself of the defender, and she went up for the layup. She's like, what, 6'4", 6'5"? She's not a small person. She's smoking layups. Toward the end of the game, Dejanay Carrington, she gets a steal, uncontested, all by herself. And I just saw the foresight. I was just like, this is a moment where in the WNBA, they missed a layup. And she had too much time, and you can see she slowed herself up, and she went up for the layup, and sure enough, she missed it. And it's funny because in the WNBA, games are won, so incrementally. There are so many, 2-point, 4-point, 6-point games. For them to be coming out and just missing these absolute bunnies, like, it makes you kind of just feel the impact of every single, missed layup. I think that I can speak for all new WNBA fans and probably the old ones too. The missed layups add a new dynamic to the game that just, like, it's unfounded in a lot of leagues. In the NBA, they shoot a lot of threes. They have a lot of contested layups. But 9 times out of 10, if they get a run out layup all by themselves, they're either gonna lay the ball in or they're gonna dunk it. In the WNBA, it's just not that guaranteed, man. It's just not that guaranteed, man. So we need to just pump the brakes on Angel Reese just a little bit. I'm actually going to make another video about Angel Reese a little bit later on the week, so be on the lookout for that. People apparently love when I talk about Angel Reese. Like, every time I drop a video about the Sky, it blows up, shout out to y'all if, you are here after one of the Chicago Sky videos. But let's go ahead and talk about the Fever, man. So the Indiana Fever, man, they came out and they finally defeated the Connecticut Sun after 3 attempts, 3 losses. They got close one time, losing by, I think it was 3 or 4 points, but they finally were able to get it done today, and they were able to knock them off 84-80 at home in Indiana. I think I'm almost like, confident to say that the Indiana Fever are nearly unbeatable when it comes to them playing at home. Like, them having just that energy behind them, I think that they have the advantage of the fact that they play every single game in front of 14,000 people, 17,000 people. So, other opposing teams, I'm not saying that they don't get any draw, but they don't get the same level of draw that the Fever get. You can check the stats, check the numbers all you want. The Indiana Fever bring out people in droves that that's never been seen by any WNBA player and any WNBA team ever in the league history. And we've had a bunch of legends that have come and go from the league, a bunch of great teams that have come and go from the league. None of them have faced crowds like these Indiana Fever face every single night. And I think that it really has gotten them, like, it's really sharpened them up. It's had them be just like more on their P's and Q's when they come down to late game stretches, because I would say that a game that like today against Chicago, which was a nasty drag 'em out game, very, very physical. Caitlin Clark took a really, really hard hit from Alyssa Thomas on the screen. The players were getting knocked to the ground left and right. There were a bunch of tie-ups. It was a super duper physical game. This is a game that the Indiana Fever in the beginning of the season, just last month, this is a game that they would probably lose. They're playing against a better team. Their execution would not be as sharp as it is now. They wouldn't be able to get the stops necessary down the stretch to finish off the game. Even if they played as well as they did, if they were able to generate an 8-point, 10-point lead in the beginning of the season, they just didn't have what it takes in order to close those games out. And now they're just an evolved team. See, Mitchell comes through and gives you 23 points. Her regular efficient self, 8 of 14 from the floor. Lexi Hull, man. Lexi Hull is somebody that I'm going to turn my Twitter account into a Lexi Hull fan page, because she's just great out there. Like, I gave her grief when she was guarding against Kalia Copper, saying that she just absolutely had no chance of guarding her and that she was just like, getting killed out there. But I realized that that's just how the girl plays defense. She plays extremely hard. She tries to get, in people's spaces, in between, all the cracks and crevices that, a defense might leave open, and it leaves her susceptible to get knocked down to the ground. But that's a player that you need, a player that's not afraid to, get mucked up, and just not afraid to get knocked down to the ground, and really just like put their body on the line, to get the basketball. Like, there was a play down the stretch in the fourth quarter of this game where Connecticut was going for an offensive rebound. I believe they had a positioning, but I think the ball got tipped out by Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull came flying in like a rocket and grabbed the ball. She's over here getting pulled to the ground, I think, by Bree Jones, and she kicks it out to Caitlin. And in that moment, I thought, oh my God, the Indiana Fever have 4 humans on the court and a dog named Lexi Hull. Because she was out there just doing the things that I don't think that even, the grittiest, grimiest player on the Connecticut Sun was willing to do. She was out there battling with Alyssa Thomas, battling with Bree Jones, battling with Dewana and Dejanay. She wasn't afraid to guard anybody. She was getting in everybody's grill, knocked down some big shots. She was, 4 for 6 from 3. I think that Lexi Hull, when she's able to, get going on the 3-point line, she adds an even greater dynamic to this team. Like, this team is just immensely talented. I think that before Caitlin was even drafted, I said that just her playing with just this much talent around her is going to do wonders for, her game. And Caitlin didn't have, a phenomenal game. Connecticut's a team that makes Caitlin Clark struggle. They're very, very physical. They get very, very up in her grill. She had, 7 turnovers for the game. I think that Dejanay Carrington finished with 6 steals for the game. Like, they play her very, very tough. She finished with 19 points. She was 7 of 17 from the floor, 3 of 12. I think she had a lot of threes that she left out there on the table. A lot of threes that she could have hit that could have really just like put this game out of reach. But the Indiana Fever don't blow teams out. So, they were able to, but, down the stretch of the game where people were saying that she disappears in the fourth quarter, she made a couple of big passes, knocked down a layup real late, knocked down some free throws late, and, and finishes with a pretty decent stat line. 17 points, 5 rebounds, was that 5 assists? So another 15 5-5 game. You could add it to her WNBA record. She also broke the WNBA rookie record for 3-pointers this season. So another record for Caitlin Clark. Just every time I talk about her, every time I get on the mic, I have to at some point mention, oh, she also broke this record. The girl's just absolutely amazing. Aaliyah Boston. I think Aaliyah Boston, I think she's low-key struggled since coming back in the second half of the season. I just don't think that she's been as dominant as she has been offensively, and like as she was at later points in the first half of the season. And that could just be, a thing where when she gets time off, she doesn't play basketball. I'm not saying that, I know that for sure, but that could just be the case. When Aaliyah Boston gets time off, she could just be somebody who wants to focus on her time off, wants to enjoy herself, and I'm not gonna be mad at her for that, but I think that her being who she is and being a beast down there down low, she hasn't been bad in all facets. She's been great at rebounding the ball, but I also don't think she's gotten the same opportunities either. But when you have Aaliyah Boston firing on all cylinders, man, that's just the sky's the limit for this team. The sky's the absolute limit. Shout out to Alyssa Smith. She was 4 for 7. A very efficient game for her. she was out there trying really, really hard, and I can give her so much credit for that because there were times in the other games, whether it be against Atlanta or the game against Minnesota, where she didn't look like she was 100% locked in, and did not look like she was out there trying her absolute hardest. And she has been getting flack, really much of the entire season because it feels like, for according to some fans, that whenever she plays against the Connecticut Sky, who has her girlfriend on the team, if you didn't know, Dejanay Carrington, they say that she doesn't quite play as hard and she doesn't really quite have the great performance that she needs. And while she didn't have a phenomenal performance, so I think she was efficient enough. She was able to knock down the 3-pointer. She had 6 rebounds. So I think that she went out there, she played extremely hard. She used played hard defense, got a couple of tough fouls, but that just comes with the territory. So shout out to Nalissa Smith. And yeah, man, so I just can't talk about this Fever team enough, man. I could talk about them for fucking 20-30 minutes if you let me. So let's go ahead and talk about the Connecticut Sun part of it very, very briefly, man. So this is a tough loss for Connecticut, who, they wanted to feel like they had it going after they finally got that win against New York a couple games ago, or was it the last game? I'm honestly forgetting. But this is a tough loss for them. This is a matchup that they had dominated for much of the season, and they wanted to be rounding that corner. They finally found a position where DeWanna Bonner, where they felt like Marina Mabry was going to be in that groove offensively. And while she didn't have, I want to say she had a bad game. She didn't have a phenomenal game. She was 16 points. She was 6 of 12 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3. So when that 3 ball is going from Marina, that's really just her bread and butter. Dejanay Carrington had an amazing game, 19 points. Like I said, she had the 6 steals, just playing a great floor game. Whenever she plays against Caitlin, she's one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire WNBA, and you gotta respect her. You gotta give her the credit that she deserves because she makes it hard for Caitlin. She makes it hard for everybody that handles the ball. She's very deep in the passing lanes. She was getting steals when Aaliyah Boston would try to kick the ball out to somebody. It's like she's just very, very active on the defensive end. So when she's going offensively like this, you really like their Connecticut really likes their chance to win that game. And like I said, they really didn't get a stinker performance from anybody. DeWanna didn't shoot necessarily well, but Alyssa Thomas played well. Bree Jones was kind of non-existent. It was that 3 of 6, kind of non-existent. But I think that it was a solid performance overall. It was a very winnable game for Connecticut, but they just can't beat this Indiana Fever team right now, man, and not many people can. Let's pull up their stats for since the season came back. So since the season came back, they have the 3rd best record in the WNBA at 4-1. They are putting up the third most points. They're putting up the 4th best field goal percentage from the floor. The 2nd best 3-point percentage from the floor, which is absolutely huge because I feel like they play a very, very modern style of basketball while other teams don't necessarily do that. Because even if you look at their 3-point attempts, they're 1st in attempts. So for them to be 1st in attempts and 2nd in field goal and 3-point percentage, that really speaks to what what really has changed for them over the course of these last 5 games since they came back. Then when it comes to it, their point differential is going to be dead last in the WNBA. And why is that? Because the Fever don't blow teams out, man. No matter what it is, if they are up by 10, if they're up by 12, if they're up by 29, they will find a way for that game to be close. But I think that the thing they have to their credit now is that they're holding on to those leads, and I'm very, very confident in this team going forward. This is a very big roundabout way of me saying I'm very, very confident in this team going forward.